I'm going to present my entire screen and we will get started. Okay. On my screen today, there's something new over here that we need to look at because Mrs. Lena Weber said we're going to have a school-wide lunch time and recess time from 11 to 12. Well, if you know, normally we have math at 10:30 and it goes a little bit past 11 o'clock. So our schedule is going to look different the next 3 weeks until Christmas break. So over on this side, this is where our links will now be posted, not in the page. They'll be posted here when they're ready, okay? They'll be blue for you to click on when they are ready. So morning meeting we are at right now. So tomorrow, your morning meeting link will be right here for you to click on. We're moving writing to 10:30 because we only do 30 minutes of writing. So that will bring us right to 11 o'clock, okay? So then from 11 to 12, you have lunch and recess time. And then math time will start at 12:15 and go until we're done with math. And then you have specials at 2 o'clock. Now, this will look different on Thursdays because you have music from 12 to 1. So we would have our math after music. So that will look different on Thursday, okay? So all your links will be posted right in this box, okay? So today at 11 o'clock, we're going to be done with our writing lesson. You have an hour for your lunch and recess time. And then at 12:15, we will get back on for math time, okay? So that is just some new information. We're going to look at what we're doing for reading. Today, we're going to be listening to a story called The Carpenter's Gift. You will need your printed pages as well, and I will show you specifically which ones you will need for your individual work here in a moment. You will have, once we are done with our whole group lesson, we're going to have some other things that we're going to be doing, okay? So first thing that we are going to do is we are going to, here in a moment, I'm going to pause my recording. You're going to click on this KWL, okay? Do not do that yet. Wait for my instructions. So the KWL is about the Great Depression, okay? So the first thing that you're going to do on this is you are going to go over to the side. You click on this. There is one on the side that says Sticky Note. You're going to click on Sticky Note and tell me what you know about the Great Depression, okay? So I know a lot about the Great Depression because I was a history major in college, so I could write a really long information. You are going to type what you know. You may know the time frame. You may say 1930s to 1940s. You may know something different. You may not know anything. If you don't know anything, you need to write, I don't know anything, and then you're going to hit save. So if I comment and say 1930s to the 1940s, that's supposed to be an S, not a 2. When I hit save, it's going to post my sticky note up here, and I can move it wherever I would like on this page. Now, I'm not supposed to move this part right here or anyone else's. I'm just moving my box, okay? So I'm going to pause our recording, and I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to get on It's Learning, click on the KWL, and type out what you know about the Great Depression, okay? I'm going to pause my video again. Okay, so if we're looking at this, who's this person right here? That's not how we do this. Okay. Thank you for stop moving. No one needs to comment right now. So if we're looking at Jaylee Smiley, quit moving your box. Thank you. Now, what we're doing is we're looking here at what we do know and what we don't know. So if we look at this, is this area? Area, quit moving your box. Guys, stop moving your box. Just stop. We can look at what it says without you having to move it or moving other people's boxes. I'll wait. Because Carter Arp's moving his box. I have other friends moving their box. I have a friend with a cat moving their box. Not what is asked of you. I need you to stop. Are you on the Google Meet? Because I don't necessarily think that you're watching what is going on. You're worried about what is going on the page. So exit off the page and get back on the Google Meet, please. Because I am about to take dojos from friends who are not listening. Now, stop moving it. Thank you. If you are in the Google Meet, I need you to comment with a G very quickly. Go. Good. Now, that means no one is moving their boxes. They're back on the Google Meet watching what we are doing. Okay? No one needs to be moving boxes. It's distracting, and then we can't look at the information. So I'm presenting. We're going to be looking here. So as you can see, we have some friends from Firson's room joining as well. That's okay. We just need to look at this. I'm seeing a lot of, I don't know. I see some people know that a lot of people lost their jobs. It says lost their jobs and alcohol became illegal. People use drugs. Great Depression is sadness, like losing a family member, not necessarily, but someone thought that. A lot of people don't know. It was created by the stock market in 1929, and the Dust Bowl are things. Okay, so we have some information, but we also have a lot of friends that have never heard of the Great Depression or never learned anything about the Great Depression. Okay, so today we're going to be learning about the Great Depression. Okay, so I'm going to exit off that for right now. We are first going to start by listening to a story called The Carpenter's Gift. It is a story that takes place during the Great Depression, and then we will talk more about the Great Depression, okay? So, if I click on this story, I'm going to get it ready for us to listen to. We are doing things with this story today and the next couple of days, so I really would like for you to pay attention, okay? Also, this is one of Miss Firson's favorite stories.
The Carpenter's Gift, a Christmas tale about the Rockefeller Center tree. Nearly a lifetime had passed, but Henry could still remember what it felt like to wake up in the old shack, especially during wintertime. In those days, the Great Depression gripped the country, and like many people, Henry's parents were out of work. They couldn't afford coal for the stove or warm blankets for the beds. So young Henry usually woke up with a shiver, but he didn't complain because it was nobody's fault. Instead, he visited warm places in his mind. One day in 1931, actually the day before Christmas, Henry was reading a book when he heard the loud toot-toot of a car horn. He opened the front door and saw his father behind the wheel of a borrowed truck. "Go for a ride, Sparky?" his father shouted over the rumbling engine. "You bet," Henry shouted back and raced inside to get his coat. Riding in any sort of car was a special treat for Henry, not to be missed. Soon he was sitting beside his father, nose pressed to the window glass. They drove into a nearby grove of evergreens. Henry breathed in the strong, familiar smell. "Here's the plan," Henry's father said. "See those spruce trees, Sparky? We're going to cut them down and take them to the city." "Why?" Henry asked. "To sell them as Christmas trees," his father said. Even though New York City was just an hour's drive away, Henry had never been there before. He shivered with excitement at the thought of seeing all those tall, big buildings scraping the sky. When Henry and his father reached Midtown Manhattan, they began looking for a place to park and unload. Driving down Fifth Avenue, they found a good spot next to a construction site. "Mind if I set up here?" Henry's father asked a worker. The man looked them over. It didn't take him long to figure out that Henry's father was down on his luck. "No problem," the man said. "I'll give you a hand. My name's Frank." Then he turned around and called out, "Hey, Mikey, Polly, help me out here." For the rest of the afternoon, Henry and his father sold trees to passerbys. By the end of the day, they had earned enough money to make the trip a success. "We should be getting home now," Henry's father said as the sun set behind a tall building. "What about the rest of the trees?" Henry asked. "I thought we'd give them to Frank and the other fellows." Henry nodded in agreement. The best presents are the ones you don't expect, he thought. Because it was Christmas Eve, the workers were having a little party. Frank and the others took the tallest of the trees that Henry and his father had given them and decorated it with whatever they could cobble together: paper garlands, cranberries threaded onto string, and even a few shiny tin cans. Henry added an ornament of his own, made of newspaper, that he folded into a star.
I usually have
In
the
the
fireplace
background,
going
you
too.
could hear his father talking with Frank about grown-up things, the hard times for Henry's family, the shack in which they lived. But Henry didn't want to think about those things. He just wanted to look at the most marvelous Christmas tree he had ever seen.
Thank you.
It had been the best day that Henry could remember, and he didn't want it to end.
It's my pumping room.
He stood before the decorated tree, enchanted. The street lamps had just come on, and the tin cans glittered
You
in
can
their
come
light.
up here and go.
If ever there was a magic moment, Henry thought, this is it.
You're good.
He decided to make a special Christmas wish. He wished that one day his family would live in a nice, warm home. After making his wish, Henry opened his eyes. His gaze fell on a pine cone laying on the ground. He picked it up and was turning it over in his hands when he felt his father's grip on his shoulder. "Time to go, Sparky," his father said. Henry stuffed the pine cone in his pocket and said goodnight to the workers and walked with his father back to the truck. By the time they arrived home, it was well past Henry's bedtime. "You must be exhausted," his mother said, slipping off his boots. "Straight to bed with you." Shrugging off his coat, Henry felt a bulge in his pocket. It was the pine cone. He took it out and looked at it, remembering the joys of the day and the magic of the tree. The next morning, Henry's parents let him sleep late. In fact, it was well past 8 when the toot-toot of several car honks woke him. Rushing to the window, he saw 3 trucks pulling up outside. All were loaded with lumber and other building supplies. At the wheel of the first truck was Frank, and behind him were other Rockefeller Center workers. What were they doing so far from the city on Christmas morning? Frank got out of the truck. "After you left, we were thinking," he said. "There was all this extra wood lying around, and we had the day off, so we thought we'd drive up and see what we could do to help you with this house of yours." Frank looked the shack over, taking its patched walls and ill-fitting windows. "I think we'll have to make a fresh start," he said. Henry's father didn't have words for the way he felt, so he simply took Frank's hand and shook it. The sound of sawing and hammering traveled far enough the Christmas morning for Henry's neighbors to wonder what was going on. A few walked over, saw the new house going up, and spread the word. By mid-afternoon, a dozen more people were pitching in. As the new house took shape, Frank called Henry over. "See those boards?" he said, pointing to a stack of cedar. "We're going to use them to trim the windows, but they've got nails in them. I need you to pull the nails out." Henry moved to fetch the boards, but Frank called him back, digging into his toolbox. He handed Henry an old claw hammer. "You'll be needing needing this," Frank said. By nightfall, the frame of the new house was nearly done. By week's end, it had a roof. Soon enough, it was ready for Henry and his family to move in. In the spring, Henry's parents celebrated with a potluck dinner. They invited everyone who would help build the house. Henry was glad to see Frank again. He was ready to return the claw hammer, but Frank wouldn't take it. "You keep it, son," he said. "It may come in handy someday." After dinner, Henry sat happily in his own room. He thought about his Christmas wish and couldn't believe it had actually come true. He knew he should do something special to express how thankful he was, and he thought long and hard about what that might be. Finally, he decided to plant the pine cone. Maybe he could be Jack from the Jack and the Beanstalk story, and the pine cone could be the magic bean. Henry planted the pine cone beside the new house. In time, a seedling emerged. Jack watered it and weeded it. As time passed, both he and the tree grew tall and strong. Henry especially liked the hammer away in its Henry especially liked to hammer away in its shade, and he became quite a good carpenter, building many projects with his skilled hands. As Henry grew up, however, he became busy with other things. He got married, moved away, and had a family. Most summers, though, he returned to visit his parents. On lazy days, he sat beneath the tree with his son, teaching him how to build things with the old claw hammer. As he got even older, Henry sometimes wondered where the time went. One day he was a young boy waking up with a shiver. The next he was an old man living alone. Not needing a big place anymore, he decided to move back into the house where he had grown up. To keep himself busy, Henry began working on the house, which was showing its age. He especially liked using the old claw hammer. Its polished handle, smooth and dark from wear, felt comfortable in his hand. One day, as Henry worked on the front porch, a man drove up to see him. The man told him that he worked for Rockefeller Center, and that it was his job to pick out the new Christmas tree each year. "I just love your spruce," the man said. "When I saw it from my helicopter yesterday, I knew that it had to be this year's tree." Henry wasn't sure what to do. He knew that being asked was an honor, but he and the tree had been together a long time, and he was reluctant to let it go. "I know that I'm asking a lot," the man said, "but if you agree, I can promise you that your tree will bring joy to millions of people." Henry thought some more. "And when the holiday season is over," the man continued, "we mill the tree and use the lumber to help a family in need build a new home." A family in need. Suddenly, Henry felt a shiver, and the calendar in his mind flipped back to 1931, driving to New York City with his father, meeting Frank and the other workers, building the house, planting the tree. He knew what he had to do. "I've been given so much," Henry said. "I want to give something back. The tree is yours." Just before Thanksgiving, Henry received an invitation to the tree lighting. On the special day, a car picked him up and drove him all the way to Rockefeller Center, where he met the family whose new home would be built with the tree's lumber. They hugged him and thanked him many times for his generosity. Afterward, Henry stood off to the side and watched the family's young daughter. "It's so beautiful," the girl said softly as she looked up at the enormous tree. Then something caught the child's eye. A pine cone had fallen to the ground. Picking it up, she turned it over and over in her hands before stuffing it into her pocket. If ever there was a magic moment, Henry thought, this was it. walked over to the girl, and they stood together gazing at the glittering tree. Then Henry reached into his coat pocket and pulled out the old claw hammer. "Here you go, Sparky," Henry said. "You'll be needing this." The end.
Okay, so that was a little bit of a longer story than what we normally listen to, but this is actually based on a true story. So hold on, I need to go to my video links. Give me just a moment, and I will find Christmas Around the World resources. We're going to actually watch a video of what really happens with the Rockefeller tree. We are going to look at the tree. We're gonna watch a couple of videos here all together, okay? So we're gonna start with the story behind the Rockefeller tree.
We just had the most amazing family vacation.
Oh my God. Hey, how you doing? Just climbing.
Only Giselle can squeeze under that thing. I had to run around.
Come on,
I need to call OSHA.
I know, I just like walked into the tree. It looks secure to me. You know why? This is a big deal. Look at these roots. We are packed on this Saturday morning, standing in front of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. There are so many people, you guys can't see this, crowded around because this is a tree. You can see it in this stage before it goes up.
She is a beautiful lady, this tree right here. In just a matter of hours, it'll be standing tall, all ready to be decked out. And according to the family that donated this tree, the trip to its new home right here on Rockefeller Plaza was a long time in coming. When Carol Schultz planted this Norway spruce in 1959, she had great things in mind for it.
I always said, you're going to be up in Rockefeller Center someday, and you're going to be a beautiful tree when you get older.
As a young mother, she watched the tree grow alongside her own family.
We bought this tree, and it had a ball on the bottom, and we kept it alive through the winter, and in the springtime it was planted. And I never thought it would take.
Now, 50 years later, the 77-foot tree is taking its place in history. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree is a tradition which dates back to 1931. And it has since become a national symbol of holiday cheer. This year, the Schultz family tree will be the one to carry on that tradition right here in the middle of New York City.
When I see the tree lit up, I'm probably going to cry. My hope is that it'll bring happiness to people, and I hope they enjoy it. So
now,
cool.
This little baby is going to have 50,000 lights, and of course, it is going to be topped with the Swarovski star when it is all said and done, and it will be magical.
And it will be up until early January, so you have some time if you're sitting here and you're saying, you know what, I want to come to New York City and take a look for myself in person. It's pretty massive.
What's always impressive to me is the way they protect this tree from the 2-hour schlep she makes from upstate, right? I mean, they take care of this thing. Look at, they carefully wrap these branches, and they almost flex them to the point where you think they'll break, but it's like putting it in a protective cast.
Amazing.
For the trip.
She has bodyguards.
And by the way, for a lot of people who are asking, you can watch the 87th Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting ceremony on Wednesday, December 4th. It starts at 8 o'clock Eastern right here on NBC.
All right. Should we go to break so we can take selfies with the tree?
Let's do it.
Okay. We'll be right back.
Okay, so that video was from 2 years ago. I'll have to look up and I'll let you know when the Rockefeller tree this year gets decorated so that you can look at that. We're going to go next to our video explaining a family whose house come from one of the Rockefeller trees.
So I imagine when, like you said, you're going to put the blindfolds on us. When we take it off, I imagine the house will be the brick stones. And when we go in the house, it's going to be amazing to look at because it's all finished through the whole process it's been going through.
name is Lakeisha Atkins. I'm a mother of 5. I work for the state of New York, college graduate, widow. So I live in a 4-bedroom project apartment. It's all I can afford right now, going from 2 incomes to 1, So, it's just a right now.
I imagine our next house, like just more room overall. You feel me? More room to move around, walk around, more space to do things that we want to do. As in, if he wants to run around, or he wants to go sit in the room, or if she want to go somewhere and dance, or if she want to go somewhere and do her makeup, like it'd be more space where everybody can do their own thing.
I'm most excited about my kids being excited to bring friends home. Where we live now, they don't bring anyone over to our apartment because they're kind of ashamed of it.
Finally have our own house where we could basically do whatever we want to it. We've been waiting a long time for that, I believe, right? Waiting a long time to finally do what we want.
I think they'd be proud of me, because I really think that kids don't understand the hard work, that you do daily. They just think it's so easy. Oh, you're supposed to get up. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. But building our house is something that I'm not supposed to do. It's something that easily somebody else can do. But being that I take the time out to do it, I think they'd be proud of me. I take my days off to do it, because it's gonna be ours, and I don't want everybody to do everything for me. I never did. Yeah, excited? Hey, what are y'all most excited about? All that black ops. Yes, I'm truly excited, but I'm more excited that I'm doing this for y'all, not for me. This is for y'all. So if something ever happened to me, y'all can have something that nobody can kick you out of. He would have loved it, he would have been so happy and so proud of me. Anything I ever accomplished, he was right there by my side. And it would have been, not only he would have been happy for me, he would have been happy for us.
Oh, for y'all, this is not for me. This is all work so hard for y'all.
For us.
That's why I go so hard. That's why I'm so hard on y'all. Because y'all can have things like this. When people counted me out, like I always counted me in. Once I had kids, I live for y'all, not for me. I know I may be crazy on y'all so much, but I just want the best for y'all. I don't want y'all to go down the same road I would go down. Nobody believes in me, but I believe in y'all. This is for y'all. This is not for me.
I would say to the person that's donating the street to me, my family, my legacy, I would say thank you. Thank you for thinking highly of me. Thank you for making this a part of my story, a part of my chapter, and just bringing a light to me as a person, ensuring other women who are single parents who may not be in a great situation that these positive things can happen for you as well if you just take the first step. And again, keep the faith, keep the hope, and work hard for it. Stuff like this can happen, and I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Okay. So that's a family that received the Christmas tree from the Rockefeller tree lighting. So this has been a tradition that's been going on for many, many years, over 70 years. It's been going on for about close to 90 years. Every year someone gets a home or a renovated home from this Christmas tree. So that's just amazing to think of, that people are so kind that they do things like that. We're going to take a moment. We're going to look at what the Great Depression was like. We're going to do that on Brain Pop, and then we're going to finish out with one last video of what New York at Christmas time looks like today. And then we will discuss what you're doing and you can get started. So I'm going to type in Great Depression. Right here.
Moby? Moby? Oh, that was funny. I thought I was stranded in the past during the Great Depression. Can we please go back to our own time now? Nothing's happening. Great, we're stuck here. Might as well answer another letter. Dear Tim and Moby, what was life like during the Great Depression? From Mr. Pony. Looks like we're about to find out. For most people, the Great Depression was a tough time to live. After the stock market crash of 1929, people all over the world were losing their jobs. By 1932, 1 in 4 Americans was out of work. Even lots of wealthy people were affected by the Depression. People made money any way they could. Some even begged for it. Until it was outlawed, even kids went to work to help their families eat. Some families relied on bread lines where government workers handed out food to whoever needed it. And remember, this was before the Civil Rights Movement. So however hard life was in the 1930s, you can bet it was twice as bad for African Americans and other minorities. In the cities, unions organized huge protests over bad working conditions and unpaid wages. They organized sit-down strikes where workers would show up at their jobs and do nothing. Unions gained a lot of influence during the Depression. Hey, let's catch that train. Across the country, young men who couldn't find work lived as hobos. They rode around on trains and camped at night. Farmers may have had the toughest time during the Depression. A long drought hit the Great Plains and dried out a lot of farmland. It caused huge dust storms. The entire area was called the Dust Bowl. With all those farms ruined, millions of people left their homes and tried to make a new life in California. Things weren't much better out there. John Steinbeck wrote all about this in his book, The Grapes of Wrath. With times as hard as they were, people turned to the movies to cheer them up. They wanted to forget about their troubles, so comedians like the Marx Brothers and Charlie Chaplin were real popular. Even the music and dancing got a little bit sillier. I guess that just goes to show you that even in the toughest times, people can find something to smile about. Speaking of music, radio brought African American music to a whole new audience. Musicians like Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington were adored across the country. You can find out more about them in our Harlem Renaissance movie. People who lived through the Depression were scarred by it in ways we can't imagine. Many have said that their family life suffered because everyone was so busy trying to find work. Things didn't get better till around 1940, and then there was a war to deal with. That's a whole different movie, though. If any of your grandparents were alive then, you can ask them about it. Glad that thing's solar powered.
Okay, so that was just giving us a little bit of an idea of what happened during the Great Depression. as you begin to work on your own on It's Learning, you will have a story. So I'm going to go through what you are working on today for reading time. And then at 10:30, we are meeting for writing, okay? So today you have a story assigned to you on Epic. You'll click on this. It's about the Great Depression. You need to go back some pages to the beginning of it because it loaded in the middle of the book. So you're going to start right here and you're going to read. This is going to give you more information about what happened in the Great Depression. It's going to show you actual pictures of different things that you need to pay attention to because you're going to be answering questions about it. You have a yes, ma'am today, which is a paragraph long, not one sentence, not one word. How did the Great Depression change America forever? Use complete sentences for that. Remember to restate your question, 2 text evidences, and wrap it up. You then have 2 sets of printed pages. So I'm going to pull that up real quick on my document camera. We're going to go right here. It's going to take a moment to load. Apparently on my Google Meet, I need to change my settings again. So wait just a moment. It's turning on. My document camera hasn't been on all weekend, so it's taken a little bit to turn on. So I'm just going to talk for right now and show you while I wait for this. Okay, let's see now. Okay, can you see my camera okay? Eric, can you see the document camera? Okay, so today, Monday, this is supposed to say Monday, November 29th, or November 30th. Sorry, this is the wrong date. So you're going to do this first day's morning work, front and back, that we will go over tomorrow, okay? This is in your packet that you got from me. This is just for fun. Does not need to be turned in. This is if you have extra time, so don't worry about that one. But you need this packet today that has November 30th and December 1st listed, okay? In our packet, what you are doing today, uppercase cursive A. Someone needs to mute their microphone, please. Lowercase cursive A, and it has the date up here. Uppercase cursive B, lowercase cursive b, uppercase cursive C, lowercase cursive c. And then you have a few nouns and verb things. That's the other printed pages. You have this one here. It says a noun is a person, place, or thing. See if you can find every square that contains a noun. Color each noun square green, and you should see something specific. So you're going to be coloring this, only the nouns. This one, noun sort. It says sort each noun in the correct column, then color the tree. So you're going to put these words in either person, place, or thing and color the tree. This one, it says use cards to help you fill in the blank. You will fill in the blank with verbs of your choice. There is a picture next to it that's showing you what they're doing. So you need to probably use a verb that mimics that. Tam will blank for the dog. It looks like she is yelling for the dog. So I would write yelling on that line. Then you have a Jingle Bells song. It says directions. As you read through the Christmas carol, underline the words according to the code. So you're going to underline or color the word, a noun red and the verb green to the song Jingle Bells. And that is all that you're doing for today on printed pages, okay? So when you see uppercase D, that is for tomorrow. Do not move ahead. This is tomorrow's thing. So you have quite a few sheets that you're going to need to do for today on your printed pages. Now I'm going to go back to It's Learning to show you your last thing. You're going to go to the KWL chart again. This time, you're going to, I believe you're going to turn the page What do you know? Okay. Is it that? Let's see. Okay, yes. What do you know? On this one, you're going to answer, what have you learned about the Great Depression? You're going to create another sticky note from the book you've read and the videos you've watched. You're going to type out a sticky note. Jaylee Myers should not be on this page right now for you to answer that question, okay? So, you have a story and a yes, ma'am. You have cursive pages and nouns and verbs in your packet. And then you also have a KWL chart, okay? You have about an hour before writing. So if you have no questions on what you're doing today, you may go ahead and get started. If you do have a question, I need you to comment with an H in the chat, okay? If you are done, you may go ahead and leave.